Hello, everyone. You are listening to Scenecraft. From opening shots to long takes and epilogues, we examine our favorite scenes from cinema here on the podcast. I'm Cody17, here with my fellow Expendables.
Mark17.
And Connor17.
You can find Scenecraft on most social media platforms at Scenecraft Podcast for the latest news on the show. Today we will be discussing Bong Joon Ho's newest release, Mickey 17. So as usual, let's begin with our brief What We've Been Watching segment, Quick Takes.
Speak quickly.
Quickly, thank you.
Quickly, come on. Hurry up, quicker.
Way quicker.
Okay, I'll say it fast.
What have you guys been watching?
So, in honor of Gene Hackman's recent passing, I decided to finally watch The French Connection, which was directed by William Friedkin in 1971. The logline reads, a New York narcotics detective and his partner investigate a French drug ring shipping into the United States. So we have a term that we throw around amongst ourselves called the shame list, used to denote classic films of cinema that we have embarrassingly never seen before. And The French Connection for me was pretty high up on my list. Have you guys both seen it?
Oh, yeah.
I have not. It's high on my shame list too.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better. But given that it was the winner of the Best Picture Award at the 44th Academy Awards, I'm probably not going to surprise anybody listening by saying that this movie is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And what I particularly appreciate about this movie, which seems to be a common theme among Friedkin movies, is just how quickly we're thrown into the midst of things with very little setup.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider make the most of a good cop, bad cop dynamic, and they add a decent amount of depth to their characters who aren't really given a tremendous amount of time to establish themselves. And so we sort of learn about who they are as people from the way they interact with criminals and other law enforcement. Hackman in particular just oozes a level of confidence with his pork pie hat and also in the way that he commands the steering wheel all across New York City. It just adds this layer of extra credibility to his hard-ass persona in the film. I'd argue this movie is probably most well known for its chase scene that takes place about halfway through the movie, and it absolutely delivers. And I'd say even likely warrants a detailed analysis on a future episode.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really great. One weird thing is I was watching it on Amazon Prime, and for whatever reason, there were no French subtitles. And there are a handful of scenes that take place where the dialogue is completely in the French language. And so I didn't really know what was being said, but to the movie's credit, I was still able to follow along just fine. So
cool. Oh, is that intentional?
I don't know. And I find like varying sources saying one way versus the other.
Oh,
so
I don't remember that.
But I would recommend watching The French Connection, which, like I said, is now streaming on Prime Video.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. This is a really great one. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We'll definitely have to do a scene in the future.
Yeah.
Well, the scene.
The chase scene.
Yeah.
And apparently it was very like guerrilla filmmaking.
Yes.
And they were hopping on subways illegally. And yeah, the making.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah. It's great. It really does. Well, I don't know if it was really safe, but it definitely elevates the film in a way.
Cool.
Very cool.
I also saw The Monkey, which was directed by Osgood Perkins this year, 2025. The logline reads, when twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old toy monkey in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. So this was obviously a movie that was made by the same director of Longlegs, which came out last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was an unexpected hit at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I feel like it had a semi-mixed reception here on Scenecraft, right?
Yeah, I was definitely not as high on it, I think, as you both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it enough. I didn't think it was anything revolutionary like many critics and viewers were saying in the popular culture, but
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed it well enough too. I liked the atmosphere of Longlegs,
Hmm.
arguably more than the story, and the distinct way it was shot was really cool. So I decided to cart my ass over to the theater and watch The Monkey with an audience before it left. And this movie is based on a short story by Stephen King. Do you guys remember that creepy monkey toy from Toy Story 3 that maniacally clanged its cymbals together?
Oh yeah, that was very creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, this film is basically like Final Destination with its elaborate Rube Goldberg-esque death setups. But imagine those deaths being orchestrated by that eerie monkey from Toy Story 3.
Ugh.
And like you have this film. That's basically
Ew.
what it is.
I don't know if I like that.
Here's the thing. I was pretty on board for a majority of this film, but it gets impossibly stupid by the end, which seems to be a familiar letdown for me, at least, in a lot of Stephen King stories. But one thing I will say it has going in its favor is that it's a pretty unserious movie to begin with. So the last third doesn't completely derail the experience, but it definitely took away from it a little bit.
Okay.
If you're looking for something that delivers some creative kills and also has a few moments of unexpected laughter, I would recommend checking out The Monkey, which is playing in theaters, but will likely hit VOD by the time this episode airs.
I think this is definitely going to be a stream, if anything, for me.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you would even give it a chance.
Probably won't, if I'm being totally honest. But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. What about you, Connor? What have you been watching?
All right, boys. I took one for the team this week and watched the new Netflix movie, The Electric State, so you don't have to.
Oh, boy.
I'm calling it 2025's Bicentennial Man. So, The Electric State, for everyone unfamiliar, is Netflix's most expensive movie ever produced,
Oh my God.
costing a reported $320 million to make, and it came out on a random Friday in March. It was directed by the Russo brothers of Avengers fame and stars Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown, among many, many others. The logline reads, an orphan teen hits the road with a mysterious robot to find her long-lost brother, teaming up with a smuggler and his wisecracking sidekick. So this is based on Simon Stålenhag's illustrated novel of the same name, which depicts a dystopian alternate 1997 where a teenage girl and her robot companion journey across a crumbling America filled with abandoned battle drones and eerie technological remnants. So all that sounds like it has some potential, right?
Yeah.
Well, at the time of this recording, it has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh no.
And yeah, I have to say I agree. This might be like the Netflix equivalent of Apple's Argyle, which I know you saw, Cody.
Okay.
To me, it's like the most expensive movie ever made that's designed to be second screened. It's production value first, storytelling second. It oversimplifies everything and underestimates the audience's intelligence. Every step of the way, it tells us what to feel and when, so you can just loosely keep tabs on the plot while you scroll your phone. All set to a high price tag soundtrack full of iconic needle drops to really cue when the important parts are for you to pay attention.
Wow.
Oh God.
The best thing about it is definitely the amazing imagery from Stålenhag's novel of robots of all shapes and sizes littered across the American Southwest. The world he's created is really cool. It's super stunning, and I'm sure it's why this movie was even made in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You can clearly see the money on the screen, which you both know I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to get my money's worth, my $10 Netflix subscription money's worth.
Of course.
Aside from that, they've completely changed the source material for the worse. Entirely new characters are added, probably just to cram more high-profile actors in there. Best way I could describe it is like Guardians of the Galaxy meets Stranger Things, and that's right down to the casting. Chris Pratt really wants to be Harrison Ford in this role, and he just doesn't have the charm or the charisma. Millie Bobby Brown, sorry, is awful in this, and to be fair, I think it might just be how one note her character is. Like, she just doesn't have a lot to work with. If anything, I think it's a really fascinating state of the union on where mass entertainment stands. It's all designed to feel like, hey, we watched something big and important, but what did we watch at the end of it? There's just not really anything there. So if you're curious about it, have some morbid curiosity, The Electric State is available to stream on Netflix.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a pass for me after that
Yeah.
glowing review.
I didn't even know about this movie until I turned on my TV and there was like an animated ad where it showed, I think it was like the Peanut guy from like
Yeah, Mr. Peanut.
Mr. Peanut.
He's like voiced by Woody Harrelson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What does he do? Oh, yeah. I was like, what is this movie? Like, I don't even know what. Yeah. There was like no fanfare or advertisement otherwise.
Yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Really strange.
So aside from that, on a lighter note, I watched the delightful movie Flow, or Strome, directed by Gins Zilbalodis. And I should say my cats and I watched Flow.
It's appropriate.
There's this, I think I texted you both, but there's this great phenomenon on social media of people sharing pictures of their cats like loving this movie. And it was definitely true. Both of my cats were like locked in during the whole runtime.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
So beating out Inside Out 2 and The Wild Robot, this movie won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature earlier this month, and it's Latvia's first win at the Academy Awards, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
So we've all seen this, right?
Yeah. Oh, loved it.
Yeah, same here. I really loved it. It takes a unique approach in that it features a cast entirely of animals with no dialogue, allowing the characters' emotions and narratives to unfold naturally. And it creates this immersive experience that feels like we're right there with these characters as they navigate how to help each other survive in a massive flood. The animation was created with free 3D software Blender. It has this beautiful cel-shaded quality that pairs really harmoniously with the musical score to build this somber yet peaceful atmosphere. To me, Flow really stands as a testament to the power of pure visual storytelling, taking us as the audience on a cinematic journey that for me was both moving and unforgettable. I kind of purposely paired these two movies together for my quick takes this week too. I think Flow is such a great example of the magic that happens when you have a passionate team that makes the most out of limited resources. And on the other hand, The Electric State shows that magic doesn't just happen when you throw unlimited money at it.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend checking out Flow, which is available to stream on Max and available to rent on pretty much every streaming platform.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats to Latvia on that one.
Yeah.
That was a really good win for them.
Definitely. I loved Conan's joke. He was like, "Your move, Estonia." So funny.
That was really good.
That was a great one. What about you, Cody? What have you been watching?
Yeah. So, Mark, I had a similar idea and wanted to watch something in memory of Gene Hackman. So I'll admit that I did take a little peek at our quick takes list for this episode before I had known that you watched Electric State, Connor. And Mark, I saw you were covering The French Connection. So I decided to go with something with a little bit more levity. Monica had a very particular subgenre that she wanted to watch that night, which she described as, quote, a mafia movie, but funny. So Barry Sonnenfeld's 1995 film Get Shorty was the perfect pick to match that. And it also simultaneously exposed me to more Gene Hackman and his incredible repertoire of films. I hadn't seen this film, shameless for me. The logline reads, a mobster travels from Florida to Hollywood to collect a debt and discovers that the movie business is just as sleazy as the Miami underworld. I enjoyed this overall. The film's opening act is admittedly really disorienting. The first 20 minutes thrusts viewers into a whirlwind of characters and events with minimal exposition, almost none. You're just dropped right in, but not in the same fun way as
A freaking movie.
a freaking movie.
Yeah.
It's just kind of confusing. It creates a sense of this narrative whiplash. But, as the story transitions to LA, it does find its rhythm. John Travolta's character, Chili Palmer, enters the Hollywood scene, transforming the film into an engaging ensemble piece with tons of characters, a sort of cat and mouse game that satirizes both the criminal underworld and the movie industry. So Gene Hackman's portrayal of Harry Zim, a B-movie producer, is really a standout performance in the film. Hackman infuses him with this blend of desperation and charm. He embodies a man who's perpetually in over his head throughout the entire film.
Nice.
Yet he's always sort of scheming for the next big break. Hackman's comedic timing adds a real layer of levity to the film, really showcasing his versatility as an actor, which is really impressive given his known reluctance to play comedic roles. Like, there aren't that many comedic Hackman roles. But I guess Barry Sonnenfeld persuaded him to join the film by emphasizing that the character should be played just straight.
Okay.
Which allows for the humor to kind of emerge naturally from the character's earnestness. And that completely worked for me.
Nice.
Get Shorty ultimately serves as a clever satire of Hollywood. It blends crime and comedy. So if you haven't seen it, Get Shorty is a really fun one that's available on Amazon Prime or available for rent or purchase. And rest in peace to the very, very talented Gene Hackman.
That's great.
Have you guys seen this?
I have not seen it.
I haven't either,
Wow.
but I really want to now that you took us through that. Sounds like a really good one worth checking out.
Yeah.
What do you think of
Well-
that title?
Oh, hate it.
Okay. I was like,
There it
like
is.
my Cody meter was going off. I was like, I could see him like, he must hate having to say these words out loud right now.
Get Shorty.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, that was preventative for me in ever watching the film is, a rose by any other name. But,
Yeah.
well, I'm really excited to talk about this next one. I actually watched this last night, also with Monica. The film is September 5, directed by Tim Fehlbaum. The logline reads, during the 1972 Munich Olympics, an American sports broadcasting crew finds itself thrust into covering the hostage crisis involving Israeli athletes. Have you guys heard of this film?
Yeah, I have.
I've seen ads for it, but I did not know what it was about until you read the log line.
Okay. Well, I'll just say, had I seen this before our top 10 episode, it would have absolutely made my list for 2024, like maybe in the top half.
Whoa.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, and apparently it was actually released in 2024 in a really limited capacity. I think it was like film festival circuit, German release maybe. I'm shocked that this has left almost zero cultural footprint surrounding this past award season. It was nominated for the original screenplay Oscar and for a Golden Globe, but it really hasn't been talked about much from what I can tell. And I really have no idea why. It was phenomenal.
Cool.
It was just so riveting. And instead of carrying the brooding pathos of the widely known Munich from Steven Spielberg, which I'm sure we've all seen, this takes okay. Well, shameless. I mean, instead of the kind of like gritty, emotional side of his journey in the film, this really takes a straightforward ticking clock approach to the 1972 Olympics terrorist attack through the lens of the on-site ABC sports team, who in the moment make the decision to broadcast the hostage situation live on air, which it was the first time that had been done in history.
Wow.
So I cannot begin to even describe the intensity of this film. Like, you have to be in the right state of mind to watch. This is competence porn at its finest. And I know we all love that. Every decision, every flickering monitor, every analog whir and clunk immerses you in the tense mechanics of live news coverage. It's just so textured, like you can reach out and touch all this machinery. It's amazing.
Awesome.
And the film thrives on that period accuracy of the 70s, making you feel the sheer weight of the technology these professionals wielded under pressure. It doesn't really dig into an exhaustive ethical debate about like media responsibility, but it is mentioned, and the moral dilemmas are there, woven into this breakneck urgency of the moment. The cast, oh my God, they are firing on all cylinders. They're anchoring the film in a raw, unflinching way. And coupled with its gritty yet beautiful style, September 5 doesn't just recount history. It thrusts you right into this control room where every decision matters and hindsight is a luxury no one has. I highly recommend September 5, streaming on Paramount Plus and available for rent or for purchase. You should
Whoa.
definitely check this out. Yeah.
That was a great review. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see this.
Yeah, might watch it tonight.
Check it out. Let me know what you think. It's not going to give you like a deep catharsis. It's laid out right in front of you. It is what it is. It's straightforward. But what it is choosing to do is executed to absolute perfection. I loved it.
Great. Excited to watch it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for your picks this week. Now let's move into our discussion about Mickey 17, starring Robert Pattinson, Naomi Ackie, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo, among many others.
Thirst beyond saving with all its muddied people. But you're something special, and I'm creating a world on a pure white planet full of superior people like you.
Mr. Marshall, am I just a uterus to you?
The logline for the film reads, Mickey 17, known as an expendable, goes on a dangerous journey to colonize an ice planet. So let us start with our spoiler-free section. Mark, what did you think of Mickey 17?
Okay, so I thought Mickey 17 brought a lot to the table. It's a premise that invites deep philosophical explorations of self-identity and the ethics of cloning, and all that is superimposed over a common theme in a lot of Bong Joon Ho films, which is the dehumanization of the working class. However, I do feel like this film suffers when it starts to stray into themes of religious extremism, xenophobia, environmentalism, fascism, and even at one point, drug trafficking. It just starts to buckle under the weight of its own ambitions. And as a result, I felt a little frustrated by what felt like half-explored ideas when Mickey's journey alone would have been thematically rich enough for me.
Yeah.
But all that said, I thought the production and costume designs were just a real highlight for me.
Definitely.
The barren ship juxtaposed with the lavishness of Kenneth Marshall's quarters, or the cold weather gear Mickey 17 wears, complete with goggles for facing the harsh, icy winds. Everything just felt really deliberately thought out. And we will get into some of that detail during our scene discussion today.
Yeah.
I also thought Robert Pattinson was absolutely fantastic in this movie. His ability to play multiple versions of the same character while also making them feel distinct from one another is a unique acting challenge that I think he pulls off with grace. There was one really funny Letterboxd review for this film, which was, quote, "New Pattinson accent unlocked." I just love that.
That's great.
I think he has come really far as an actor and has earned a reputation for taking a bunch of risky, daring roles and making them his own. So in short, maybe it was the high expectations going into the film or the building anticipation from the multiple delays in the release date. But in the end, Mickey 17 didn't quite do it for me, even though I admired a lot of the individual aspects of the experience in production. Connor, if I'm not mistaken, this was your most anticipated movie of the year. What did you think?
So this was my most anticipated for 2025. And I actually took a bit of a different approach to watching this. You guys saw this before me and you had some advice for me. Isn't that right?
We did.
We maybe did, yeah.
Yeah.
I have the text in question right here. Connor, go in drunk. Not kidding. So I took the advice, had a couple of drinks before seeing this, which is a first here on Scenecraft. This is not up to protocol. We do not condone that kind of behavior. More of a do as I say, not as I do situation. And with that, I'll be honest, it was a bit of a fuzzy experience for me, but I felt a lot of what you were describing, Mark. I agree with a lot of what you were saying. I think the way it takes a signature Bong Joon Ho swing and tackles big themes like capitalism and identity was the most interesting piece of this. I loved the way it explored the practicality of how that might play out in this alternate, not too distant vision of the future. Now, I'm not sure if it was just the wine or if one too many things got introduced in the second half, like you were saying, but it really started to lose its way and me in the process the later on into the story that we got. The pacing is all over the place. The big philosophical questions get buried under some clunky exposition. And by the end, I completely agree. It just feels like a collection of interesting ideas more than a fully realized film. But that's the maddening thing about Bong Joon Ho. You really have to give him, Robert Pattinson, and the entire team credit for going for it when so many movies these days opt to play it safe. I loved the whole visual world, like you were saying, and quirky details that we'll definitely dig into more. Again, comparing it to something like The Electric State, I'll take 17 more Mickey 17s all day before a big budget Netflix sci-fi snooze fest.
I completely agree. That's well said.
Good. Well, I'm glad. It's reassuring to hear you say some of the things I was feeling and know it, wasn't just.
And I don't want to come off like super negative because there are definitely parts I really liked about it. But
me too. Yep. What about you, Cody? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I think I'm feeling a lot of the same things that you guys are. I think I probably enjoyed my experience a little more, and that may be partially attributed to the gentleman sitting directly next to me who brought his group of like 3 17-year-old kids who clearly were not enjoying the experience, but this guy next to me just like laughing it up at all the most like grim jokes, like totally inappropriate moments to laugh, normally.
That's funny.
But I was kind of laughing along with them, and it made it very fun, which speaks to, an experience in the cinema. Yeah, so I find myself sitting somewhere between the defense and the prosecution here. I'm probably the most forgiving of Mickey 17 among us, I think, though that is not to say it's particularly good. Bong Joon Ho's latest is a fun mess for me, one that flaunts his signature world building, his eccentric humor, and these immersive oddities, but it really does struggle under the weight of its own ambition. I think the craft is impeccable. Set design, cinematography, post-sound, visual effects, costuming, they are all operating at a stunning level. And of course, Robert Pattinson does his absolute best to anchor and carry the film with this amazingly weird performance. But as you guys have mentioned, structurally, it's totally baffling. A stretched out cold open, non-linear storytelling that rarely justifies itself in the extra runtime, and a third act that completely feels ripped from another film altogether.
Yeah.
Subplots are blinking in and out of existence, and the ending lands with a disappointing thud, especially for a director known for his gut punch, or at least bittersweet finales. I had read in an article that Warner Brothers reportedly has an alternate cut that tested better with audiences. And honestly, I'd be curious to see if that irons out some of this mess at risk of, maybe removing some of the risky choices that Bong takes.
I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Yeah. It'll never see the light of day, I'm sure, but I would be curious. With all that said, I laughed, I had fun, and despite its frustrating incoherence, Mickey 17 at least dares to be weird, as you were referencing, Connor.
Yeah.
Even if it never finds a completely satisfying path of least resistance.
Yeah, nice. Well said.
So let's delve in further and move into our scene selection for today, which we're going to call In-Flight TV Dinner. And as usual, beware of spoilers ahead.
Is there anyone there?
Yes, what do you see?
Spoilers! Right ahead!
Thank you.
Connor, would you give us the scene beats, please?
Sure, I'd love to. This scene starts just past 52 minutes into the movie and runs for about 9 minutes. Mickey and Kai join Kenneth and Ilfa Marshall as dinner guests, meant as a gesture of consolation for Jennifer's death. However, the Marshalls have ulterior motives, namely persuading Kai to join their efforts to repopulate the frozen world of Niflheim while also covertly using the dinner to test a growth hormone on the unsuspecting Mickey 17 by slipping it into his food. Mickey experiences a very violent reaction to the hormone, and Marshall's lead scientist, Arcady, attempts to counteract the effects by using an experimental painkiller known as Purple Joe, only to suffer an even more severe reaction. As the situation escalates, Kai intervenes to prevent Marshall from executing Mickey. So a lot happening here.
Even you reading that, just anyone coming into this without having seen the film,
It's like, what is going on? Yeah.
Maybe we can start here today by just talking about why we chose this scene in the first place.
Yep. So in an interview with the IMAX team, Bong Joon Ho described this as his favorite scene to shoot for a couple of reasons. So it shows how pitiful Mickey is as a person, while also exposing the Marshall's ugly nature, all within a very well-organized arc that almost plays out like its own short film. I think this scene really does stand out in the movie in that way.
Yeah.
It's also just funny in the most grim and ridiculous way possible. Mickey's suffering reaches a peak in the scene as the ship's scientists fail over and over again to great comedic effect.
Yeah. And on a thematic level, I think this serves as a clear example of the class disparity in a self-contained sequence, like you said. And it's depicted visually through ornate, gaudy decor, and then nicely contrasting that with the industrial design of the colony ship common areas. And then it also is just a way to show that while the ship's crew subsists on a bland, calorie restricted ration of food, the Marshalls indulge in these elaborate meals, and they're adorned with rich sauces, which we'll get into as well. But Ilfa's obsession with sauce, which is considered a hallmark of refined cuisine, highlights her superficial grasp of the culinary arts, despite the fact that they look and probably taste disgusting.
Yeah, it's true.
I think she describes the sauces as the true litmus test of society.
yeah. Yeah, and then of course we cannot dive into this scene or the film without discussing the very on the nose Trump analog. So Marshall's depiction as an egomaniacal politician with white nationalist religious undertones aligns with common critiques of President Donald Trump's persona. So we'll dig more into that when we discuss the specific performances, but the scene does depict this character at his most slimy, attempting to use his influence to induct Kai into a, quote, natural birthing program, unquote, on their new planet, and starts a totally insincere prayer at the table, all while telling his scientists to fail upward and stand tall in their failures. It sounds familiar. Bong Joon Ho really nailed American politics at the moment, however, goofy and on the nose.
Definitely. So a little bit of background on the film itself. This was based on a 2022 novel by Edward Ashton called Mickey 7.
Yeah, and Mickey 17 is also the first feature that Bong has made with a Hollywood studio, in this case Warner Brothers, and his most expensive movie he's made to date with a budget of just under $120 million.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah, and it was originally slated for a March 29 of 2024 release, but apparently it faced delays due to the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike, ultimately premiering at the 75th Berlin International Film Festival on February 15th of this year, 2025, before its US release on March 7th, 2025. So whether in part due to the SAG strike, maybe other reasons as we'll talk about in trying to find what this all is in the edit, I don't know if that was a good or bad thing for the film. Maybe it allowed them more time to pull things together, or maybe it got messier. We'll never really know, I don't think, but
yeah, sometimes that extra time just, gives you the ability to overthink some decisions. So maybe that's what we were seeing.
Yeah.
And, speaking about the actual production, Bong Joon Ho shot Mickey 17 over 4 months, starting in August 2022. So it was a while ago at this point.
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah. at Warner Brothers Studios, just north of London, same place where Harry Potter was filmed. We've mentioned the studio a couple times on the show.
Leavesden.
He mentioned they were working out of an old hangar, and at the same time, Barbie and Fast and Furious were being filmed nearby. And I guess he even ran into Vin Diesel at lunch one day.
That's great. Well, this scene in particular is centered around a meal, so I think we should probably start by talking about said meal in this
The
scene.
most disgusting meal ever. The in-flight dinner.
Ugh, it's so gross.
The meat is just like, it's almost beyond words, like to explain. But I'll take a stab at it here. It's just like, it's almost like a gelatin or raw fish. They say it's a tenderloin, but at one point he like cuts through it and then he holds it up with a fork and it just kind of like flops over.
Yeah.
Even with all the sauces of the film, they all kind of just look like blood.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's meant to evoke that kind of nauseous feeling, but the tenderloin, and it's like tenderloin of what?
Right.
I think it's artificial meat. I mean, they refer to this as like they have to eat artificial meat because they want to colonize the planet and eat real meat, they say.
Right.
So this is artificial, but it almost looks like the raw organ of some sort of creature. Like it's not cooked.
Yeah, it really looks gross. I'm sure there was a lot of scrutiny over the tone and the color of this meat. And shout out to Fiona Crombie, who guest of the show before, did a great job making this look as unappetizing as possible.
Yeah, I think we're going to call back to her and her, overall teams a number of times here, just because of how they were able to immerse you in the film despite any qualms anyone has, like with the actual structure or plot. They did such a good job of placing you in this ship. And speaking of the ship, let's talk a little bit about the decor of the dining room that we're in. I mean, obviously, we mentioned that it makes a case for the class disparity between the common crew members and the leaders of this ship. One thing that really stuck out to me were the gold palm trees all across the background, as well as like gold mirrors, gold curtains. For me, that was really reminiscent of Mar-a-Lago.
I think you're 100% spot on. It's like somebody who thinks they're really fancy would decorate their place to impress other people.
Right.
And I'm sure there's a gold toilet in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
There was a interview with Bong where he talked about some of the inspiration for the production design. He said it kind of was reminiscent of a department store.
Okay.
Where all the customers interact and it looks amazing and everything. But then you go through like the employee doors where like the employees are supposed to, rest, eat lunch and everything. And it's like gray fluorescent lighting. There's wires hanging out all over the place. And so I don't know if that was a direct inspiration, but it definitely feels that way when you compare the setting of this scene versus the ship as a whole.
And there's some really great details throughout that whole scene that really sell what you're talking about, Mark. There's, for instance, this is a fancy dinner that they're hosting, and there's a cardstock invitation that we see on the edge of the frame in one of the shots when we get a close-up of the meat on the plate, which has some gold handwriting, and it says "you and only you" in fancy cursive writing. So just like the very personal touch of
I love that little detail. Yeah.
Interesting detail, I'm sure we all picked up on, is that mid-speech, Kenneth Marshall briefly and accidentally, I think, maybe, refers to the, quote, company as the, quote, the church, and glances over toward this embroidered logo that looks something like a combination between the Freemason emblem combined with a swastika. Like it just looks kind of like it has the gold, it has the black, it has the red. It just looks like a fascist symbol of some kind. That logo is also etched on the gun that Marshall pulls out later.
Yeah, and I think that's super accurate with what we know about fascist regimes too, is they really use branding and propaganda across everything that they do. It's always pushing their vision and their message, and to see it show up on this gun here just kind of is the icing on the cake for branding the weapon that they use to kill people.
Totally, yeah.
What did you guys make of the arm patch on Kai's space jacket that reads "A Pure Planet"?
Yeah, it definitely is like NASA coded a little bit. Sort of that
Hmm.
optimistic design language feels mid-century in the way that it's got these sort of thick lines and globe icon. So it almost has that Star Wars NASA type feel to it.
Feels very different than the other logo we were just talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah, and at the same time, the heading at the top saying "A Pure Planet," kind of aligning exactly with what Marshall is talking about. You know, the referring to Niflheim as this pure white planet,
hmm
and how they've actually
Mm.
incorporated that into their messaging and branding.
Yeah, and obviously the branding of A Pure Planet, it's got these rounded shapes. It feels much more friendly and approachable versus that hard-edged, geometric, angular look of that fascist type logo that we were talking about before
Mhm.
of the company.
One little detail that absolutely killed me during this scene was when Mickey starts to react violently to the meat. There's this cool secret door that just
Yeah.
opens so suddenly when Mark Ruffalo calls for medical. The staff are like ready to go, like they had been
Yeah.
waiting the whole time.
I know, it's like they had their ears up against the wall or something listening for
Right.
this to happen. And so many of them come out. There's like 10 of
Yeah.
them.
They come down like a spiral staircase as well that's like carpeted on the side. Nice little details there that just make it feel like a lived in room.
hmm
Yeah. The ability for the set design to support the edit and the immediacy and chaos of everything happening, like right after Mickey starts vomiting, and how quickly it all just happens, like at the snap of a finger,
hmm
because they were all prepared for this. So there was never any intention for this to be a nice dinner for Mickey.
Right.
Right.
It was always going to be to test this growth hormone.
Ugh.
Right.
Did you guys notice the taxidermied tiger
Yeah.
head in the background as well as a painting?
Yes.
Like a tiger painting.
hmm
And then I was kind of looking up what Toni Collette's character calls out with her rug when Ruffalo's about to shoot Mickey on it. And so it's a Persian Tabriz rug that she's worried about getting blood all over.
Yeah, and I think it just shows how these characters think of themselves as very worldly for having these, quote unquote exotic items that are rare and hard to find in their
Right.
quarters. And no one else has this stuff.
Yeah, they did an absolutely phenomenal job on the set design of the room and just showing that harsh contrast with everything we've seen up until this point.
Maybe I'm reading into things a little bit too much, but did you guys notice that the color of the walls was pink? And
hmm
it actually almost kind of matched what Toni Collette's character was wearing as well.
Oh, completely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So-
definitely.
I don't know if it's kind of like intentional, like she's kind of the brains of some of the operation, and
Mhm.
Mark Ruffalo's character is kind of like the puppet, because there's several instances in this scene where she kind of speaks for him.
Yes.
And I think we see a scene either right before this or a little bit after where he kind of turns to her and he asks like, how did I do? How did I sound? Or something like that. Like
mhm.
he's constantly checking in with her to see how he's being perceived by everyone else.
Right.
And that actually transitions us kind of nicely into the edit
Mm.
of the film. So
Mhm.
I think we all agree there were some questionable editorial decisions overall made throughout the film, but the edit within this scene is spot on, and
Yeah.
it really brings out the comedy.
Right.
There's this really sudden cut to Marshall's hand as Ilfa tightly grips it, like she's taking control of the
Mm.
conversation, and
Yeah.
it's such a precise little edit that visually allows us as the audience to understand, along with the decor that she clearly is in control of.
hmm
And another really fun cut that I loved is as Mickey's eating, Marshall says, "Sorry, you're still squishy, fresh out of the printer." And as he says the word squishy, there is a really quick cut to the tenderloin, which appears to be very, very squishy. So it's one of those really intentional edits connecting the dialogue to the visual.
Yeah.
There were a couple cutaways. Another one I really liked was when we get a cut to Arcadie's face as Kenneth Marshall sloppily like slides his hand across his cheek.
So funny. Yeah.
And he tells him to stand tall in your failures like me, my friend. I don't know. That was just like such a goofy cut. I really like that.
Yeah, that was great. And, supporting the editing of this, we also have the cinematography and the look of the film itself. So in this scene, we get an uncharacteristically warm color grade, some of the colors that we were talking about before, the red side of the spectrum, compared to the cold vacuum of space and the icy planet that they're on. It's just a result of this insane level of pink surrounding the characters, including the wardrobe, like you mentioned, for Toni Collette's character.
Absolutely. There's a lot going on with camera movement too, like tracking camera across the table, panning back and forth to catch certain character reactions. One really cool decision is when Mickey is on the Persian rug and the gun is against his head, they decide to rack focus quickly to the Persian rug, like as they're talking about, almost to make it its own outrageous character. Oh no, not the Persian rug.
Right.
It's just in tandem with the editing and the dialogue. It's like everything playing in synchronization here.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and it's also worth mentioning that Bong Joon Ho, when he goes into making a movie, he storyboards like every single cut in his films.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Wow.
I read an interview with Mark Ruffalo, and he said that the filmmaking style was almost a productive constraint at times. Every shot, every angle, every gesture is meticulously storyboarded, and each frame is exactly planned. And despite that, Ruffalo said that it didn't really feel controlling, and instead, as an actor, he actually felt a sense of freedom within each frame to reinvent his performance.
Oh, that's cool.
I might need to be fact checked on this, but I think when Bong was giving his Letterboxd top 4 films, there's at least one Hitchcock film in there.
I could see that.
And Alfred Hitchcock was known to very much do the same thing, like storyboard every single moment. And so I could see how that was an inspiration to him.
Definitely.
And I think we have to move on within the visual realm here, Connor, which we haven't done in a little while.
Can we get a little quick title talk with you for this one?
Yeah, I think the key visual, the poster for the film, is all about repetition. Like Mickey 17, the 17th version of him, of this expendable, is seen at the center of the poster. And we see an echo of all the other expendable versions of him that came before, down to their number on the patch of his arm, from 17 all the way to 1. So it just shows.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really nice little detail that they chose to include that patch over on the side. And I think just speaks to all the different experiences and deaths and ways to die that Mickey went through in order to get to number 17, who's our main character throughout the film.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's move on to the performances in the film. And as I mentioned in my general take, I think Robert Pattinson's performance in this really grounds the film. And he took what could have been, I hate to even say one note because he's not. There's different versions, but he adds a level of complexity to the character that I think is kind of unique to Robert Pattinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I going into this film, I was actually pretty worried having seen the trailer because it's kind of that like goofy, somewhat Brooklyn-y accent he chose to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you get a sense of the slapstickiness of it from the trailer. And I was kind of concerned with what he was doing with his voice. But having seen the film, I think it actually makes him very relatable and human amidst this coldness of a ship in space. And it draws us into him being this kind of like dopey character with an interesting accent.
Right. Because he's kind of a cowardly character. So for him to be the main character, his name is the name of the film. It puts a lot of emphasis on him, and it plays very against type from a lot of stories we've seen in films before. And one thing in particular that I thought was pretty impressive was he does a lot of screaming in this scene.
He does.
In agony, in pain, and somehow he managed to channel his talking voice into those screams. I could see that being really easy to just fall into your own primal screaming, but he stays true to the character, and it was like a level of authenticity that I tip my hat to.
Yeah, really well done.
Shifting gears to Mr. Mark Ruffalo. There's a lot to talk about.
There
here
is.
and what he's doing with the character. Where do we even start?
So many great moments in this whole scene. I really love the air kiss that he blows to Ilfa. They come like an inch from actually kissing, but they just decide
Right.
not to. So it's
Right.
just this strange gesture that speaks to their odd relationship.
Yeah. I can only describe Mark Ruffalo's performance as having this resting frown face. I
Mhm.
don't even know how else to put it. But in his teeth are also bright white, obviously fake for the movie,
Fake
but
teeth, yeah.
fit his character perfectly.
Let's take a minute to talk about Ruffalo's mouth, actually, if we can.
Okay.
So he's had some work done on his teeth here, but the way that he moves his mouth as this character is so unique, and we get some very distinct mouth movements here. We actually have a friend of the show, Harry, is a big fan of Mark Ruffalo, and specifically Mark Ruffalo's mouth.
His mouth.
He actually has a
Yeah.
large format printout of it hanging in his fireplace.
He's just going to eat up the scene.
Yeah. Well, so obviously getting to this component, there is the really, really obvious Trump
Yeah.
analog here in what he's trying to do. It's
Mhm.
not exactly Trump, but it has some of that same peacock energy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you guys think? I think this film was made sort of assuming that Trump was going to lose his second term.
For sure.
I agree too.
The whole
Yeah.
premise is Mark Ruffalo's character is a failed politician.
Right.
He lost the election, and so then he decides to bring his followers who are still faithful to him on the ship
Yeah.
to colonize this new planet. So
Yeah.
I think it was definitely made under the assumption that he was going to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it hits a bit differently knowing a couple years later Trump did win the election, and here we're all having to spend more time
Mm-hmm.
with this person who's in the news cycle already quite a bit.
Yeah. And obviously we're not saying anything that anyone can't get from the surface level of the
Right.
film. I think it's just interesting to talk about the way in which it's depicted
sure.
and a couple moments to call out that they're sure to include is he can't even remember, Jennifer's name who just died, like the
Mhm.
woman who died, and
Uh-huh.
his wife has to remind him of that. And for me, that's really reminiscent of all of Trump's fumbles with veterans, cemeteries, school shootings. It's just like the man does not give a rat's ass what actually happened in connecting with people. It's
Mhm.
all for the optics and, can't even remember what's going on.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think we also get that quote during this scene. I am creating a world on a pure white planet full of superior people.
Right.
So it's more parallels there.
Yep. Not even afraid to disguise that at
Yeah.
this point, just on the face of it. So yeah,
There's also just some great one-liners. Like I
There are.
love how he refers to Mickey as a goddamn print job.
He's a meat matrix.
love the line
So
where
good.
Kai wants to take a moment before eating to do a prayer for Jennifer, and he goes, "I'm always ready for a prayer."
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like,
Let's talk about another big character in the scene, and that's Ilfa, so played by Toni Collette. What is going on with her obsession for sauce?
it's really bizarre. I think we learn later on that she's even willing to sacrifice like everyone on the ship to kill a creeper in hopes of like chopping up its tail to create and blend a new sauce. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Gross.
The other thing too that I loved is when she starts to break into singing like a hymn during the
Yeah,
prayer.
during the prayer.
And there's just there's such a hilarious shot where Mickey and Kai are basically being forced to join along, but they don't know the words at all.
Yes. Uh-huh. It also reminded me a little bit of the woman singing during the Oscars acceptance speech for Amelia Perez. Like, okay, wrap it up.
Amelia.
I know. Just like very like not the right moment for this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She also has some good quotes in this scene. When Mickey is really violently vomiting, she asks Are you in a lot of pain?
It's so
Like,
phony.
clearly.
Yeah, that God, yeah, that just like it's well written but well performed for sure there.
Yeah, it's like at every moment where you think, oh, this person actually, genuinely cares, she then subverts that and shows how she doesn't.
It's amazing. Well, let's go through some of the other characters in the scene. There's Kai, played by Anna Maria Bartolome. Mark, you and I were talking a bit offline about the tonal pendulum of her character and how that arc for her just keeps going up and down without much logic there. Her kind of going between, a bit of a lapdog for these fascists and then someone very defiant. Like there's her
Right.
line, am I just a uterus to you?
Right, because I think it's right after this scene, she discovers that Mickey has not only Mickey 17, but Mickey 18 as well. So
Yeah.
2 clones at the same time. And so she's immediately ready to go and kind of tattle on them. And yeah, I just felt like that was a little discordant because it seemed like this would have been the natural turning point for her to remain defiant against the regime on board.
We also get another character, Marshall's political aide, Preston, played by Daniel Henshaw, and he's basically the head of Trump's White House faith office.
Yeah.
Mhm. He had like an interesting like chin piercing.
Yeah, I know. Felt very like 90s or something.
Yeah. And he's weirdly filming a lot of the events during dinner. With
Yeah,
just like
I
a
noticed that
handheld
too.
camera.
Uh-huh.
And then there is Arcady, who's the leader of the Niflheim Spaceship Scientist Department, played by Cameron Britton. Really weird and stilted dialogue delivery
Uh-huh.
for this character, but it really worked for me, at least. I don't know what you guys thought, but
Me too.
just the way he's contrasting against all the chaos of the scene.
Yeah, and I love his line reading of "Sorry, sir, the painkiller's not working," and this is all while Mickey is like screaming at the top of his lungs.
Like if it
ready
wasn't
to-
clear enough. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
There are a lot of other characters kind of populating the background. It turns into this crazy Mickey Mouse scene where everyone's kind of like running around. There's chaos. A lot of characters in the background, but I think that kind of rounds out our main cast of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, all these elements combined with performances, with the visuals, I think it really makes this scene soar
Mm-hmm.
amidst a film filled with like amazing craft in it, despite some of the plot stuff not working as well. But all of these elements together really make this a standout scene. And Mickey 17, it's an ambitious but uneven sci-fi odyssey, but it's still intriguing. It's occasionally fun.
Yeah.
It's experimental.
And we can appreciate parts of it.
Yes,
Definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And well, thank you for all of your guys' contributions to
Mhm.
pointing out things in the scene. And it's been fun to talk about Mickey 17 regardless. And as always, we have to thank our listeners and fellow movie enthusiasts for reliving this scene with us. Do you have a favorite scene from Mickey 17? You can email us at contact@scenecraftpodcast.com with any of your thoughts or comments, or follow us on most social media platforms at Scenecraft Podcast for any scheduling updates and news. You can support the podcast by leaving us a review or star rating on your platform of choice. A very special thanks, as always, to Jordan Summerlad for our theme music. This has been Scenecraft, where we break down the craft behind our favorite scenes. See you all next time.